I'm Taz with Professional Healthcare, and this month we're honoring our veterans, and I have a real special veteran here with me, Mr. Don Clotiaux. He's on our hospice services, and he was actually a prisoner of war, and we just wanted to honor him. He's just real special to us, and we want to hear about his story, so I'm going to ask him some questions so that he can share it with us. His wife was on our hospice service as well, and she passed recently, and they were married for 75 years, right, Mr. Clotiaux?
That's right.
75 years of bliss, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so tell me, how old were you, Mr. Clotiaux, when you got into the Army? What was the Army Air Force?
Army Air Corps.
Army Air Corps, yes, sir.
I was 19.
Okay, and you immediately went over to war at that time, or what happened?
No. I went to all kinds of schools forever.
Okay.
I went to, the first one when I went to was an airplane mechanic school
Okay.
in Biloxi, Mississippi. And I went from there to Baltimore, Maryland to specialize on the B-26 bomber.
Oh.
And while I was there, they grounded all of those, so I had to go on the B-24.
Okay.
Then I went to airplane gunnery school in Fort Myers, Florida. And there we shot all kind of guns. But every target you shot at was moving. There wasn't no targets that was just stationary.
Yes, sir. So you got some good practice in.
Oh, yeah.
So when did you find out that you were going to have to go to war? Did you go in knowing that, or did you?
Yeah. Well, the war started in January of 1941, 42.
Okay.
And I graduated from high school in May of 42.
Okay.
So it was me and two of my friends one day talking right after we got out of school. They said they heard that the Army will guarantee you can go to the Air Corps if you volunteer now.
Okay.
So the three of us did. We volunteered, and we did go to the Army Air Corps.
And so they were prepping y'all because y'all were going to be there.
Most of it schooling.
Yes, sir. Okay.
When I went to the airplane mechanic school, they had school on 3 shifts, 24 hours a day.
Oh my goodness.
And I was lucky enough to go in the graveyard one.
So tell me, when did you go overseas?
I went overseas in April of 1944.
Okay, and will you tell us about your experience a little bit over there?
Well, I can.
Okay, just tell us what you want to tell us about it, and I can ask questions along the way too, but tell us what happened.
Well, okay. I was stationed in Italy when I went overseas.
Okay.
And I was in the 15th Air Force. And we was bombing Austria and Yugoslavia and Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
And I was on my 28th mission when I got shot down.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
We had a number 2 supercharger went out, and we couldn't keep up with the group.
Oh, okay.
And they didn't wait for nobody.
Uh-huh.
If you couldn't keep up with them, that's your problem.
So you were kind of out in the open then by yourself?
By ourselves.
Yes, sir.
And we got attacked by 5 fighters, and you don't have a chance to get that.
Right.
And we got shot out right on the border of Austria and Hungary.
Okay.
And we had 10 men on board. And out of the 10 men, 6 got out, 4 didn't.
Okay.
But we lost a pilot, top turret gunner, waist gunner, and a tail gunner. And I was in the ball turret gunner at the turret, what do you call it? Or turret on the bottom of the airplane.
Okay.
I was actually flying on the outside of the airplane.
Oh, wow,
on the bottom of it.
Oh, wow. So y'all got shot down, and then what happened? You ended up going to a POW camp?
No, not right off. I got hit in the shoulder and the hand. I didn't even know I had shrapnel got in here. But I looked down, the German captured me. After I bailed out, he still got the point in there, and I had blood all over my shirt. I didn't even know I was getting hit.
You didn't even know it?
So they sent me to a hospital in Vienna.
Okay.
And I spent 3 weeks there. And then they took me and put me in the camp.
Okay. So,
What I left out was that parachute jump.
well, tell me about it. Tell me about the parachute jump.
I never made a jump before. Of course, I had to make this one.
Uh-huh.
And coming down in it, I wanted a cigarette.
Oh, it was scary.
So, no, I lit it. I got me a cigarette and lit it, and I smoked it, and I got through it, and then what am I going to do with it?
Uh-huh.
I'll put it in my mouth, put it out. My mouth was so dry, I couldn't put no cigarette out. So I put my hand way down like that, and I dropped it. And I figured if it started coming, I didn't want to get up in my shoe and burn my shoe up.
Right.
Well, I figured if it going up, I'd have a chance to grab it again. But it went on down.
That's funny, Mr. Clotiaux. You never told me that part. That's funny.
Oh, well. And when they put me in this camp, well, I had my 21st birthday.
Okay, yeah.
And on February of 1942, 45 rather, 45 in, the Germans told us that they'd go put us on the first march to get us out of the camp we was in because the Russians was driving a wedge up to the Elbe River.
Mm-hmm.
So they said we'd be out on the road for 3 days.
Mm-hmm.
Well, those 3 days turned into 86 days.
Oh my goodness.
And I'm
moving from one camp to another?
No camp. No, we was on out there. No, we wasn't in no camp. We was just out on the road.
But that was your destination to go to another camp?
Yeah.
Yes,
but,
sir.
But they gave us got to one camp and it was so crowded they couldn't. This camp I was in, there was 10,000 men in there.
Uh-huh.
It wasn't no little camp.
Right.
But they kept us out on the road. And first day they put us out, we marched 24 miles, about approximately 24 miles.
And before y'all took a break?
Before we ate anything to it.
Oh my goodness.
Our biggest problem was having something to eat.
Yes, sir.
And that night, we just lay down and sleep in the snow. We was on the Baltic, northern part of Germany, which was close to the Baltic Sea. And it was nothing but ice and snow.
Cold.
They said it was the coldest one that they'd ever had in Germany.
And y'all are just out in the open.
But, and then let's see, we marched until we run across Germany till we run into the English.
Mm-hmm.
We got there, we turned us around, we started back the way we just come.
Why?
And then about a week after that, well, they told us, well, they're going to turn us back to the first allies they could find.
Uh-huh.
Well, they sent 3 guys out, scouts, see if they can get somebody to come get us. And they did. They found an Englishman. 2 of them was in a Jeep with a machine gun on it. They liberated about 2,500 of us.
Oh, wow.
And they told us we were going to have to go to Lüneburg, Germany. They said they didn't have transportation because we were going to have to walk.
And you had already walked all this?
Yeah, we'd already walked all that time. So we just broke out like that. But anyhow, me and this friend, the nose gunner on our crew, we got together.
Uh-huh.
And we got to a place where they had a bunch of German cars and stuff there. And there was a German command car, so we figured we were going to steal that thing and go that 26 kilometers.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
But it was out of gas.
Oh, gosh.
So we had to go steal a 5-gallon gas can from an English truck.
Oh, my
Put
goodness.
the gas in.
But it got together and you got to where you needed to go?
Yes. There's 5 of us got in the German command car.
So how long was that time span, Mr. Clotiaux? From the time you were bombed down to when you were liberated, how long was that?
Well, let's see. I got shot out July the 16th of 1944, and I was liberated in May of 1945. That's what, 11 months?
Yes, sir. About a year.
Yeah, about a year.
Then you came home?
They sent me to France, to Le Havre, France, and Eisenhower came there. And he asked us, they had hundreds, thousands of people, men there.
Mm-hmm.
Said, how do you want to go home? You want to go home fast or in luxury?
Would you say fast?
I said fast. They said, oh, that, or you could take a week's leave and go to London or go to Paris. I said, all I want to see is Beaumont, Texas. So it wasn't too long till they put us on a Liberty ship.
Okay.
And they had one guy, they always said if you could fly, you wouldn't be seasick. But there's one guy with us.
He was.
As soon as he got on that ship, he got seasick. And he stayed there with the whole week, all the time we was going across the Atlantic.
How long was that trip?
Going 2 weeks.
2 weeks?
It took us because we came over in the Liberty ship. And we were the third ship leaving Europe, coming back to the States with their lights on.
Okay. So when you got here, when you got back in the States, you came to Beaumont, Texas, or where did they bring you?
First, I landed and I got back to the States. They sent me to Fort Dix, New Jersey.
Okay.
And then I went from there. They sent me down to Fort Sam Houston and San Antonio. Well, I got there and they said, well, we're going to give you a 60-day furlough because they had to take all of our service records, send them to Washington, and then get back up, get everything up. Anyhow, we had a 60-day leave. And that's when I knew her, I went to school with her. But Billie
tell us about your 60-day leave. What'd you do?
Oh, well.
This is my favorite part.
Well, it's kind of funny. Billie and I was in school at the same time. She was a sophomore and I was a senior. Well, I'd not seen her since for 3 years.
Right.
So a friend of mine said, let's get a date tonight. I said, hey, I don't know. All the girls I know are either married and gone. He said, well, let's go see Billie Kerr. I said, heck, she's just a kid. I didn't realize I'd been gone 3 years.
Right, yes, sir.
So we went to visit her, and she lived in an apartment over with a bedroom over the garage. And so we went in. Her friend, she lived with that time, she come to the door. We went in, and she come out of that room. She had her hair all rolled or something, and had on shorts. I said, oh, that kid has grown up. So I asked her for a date, and we went out every night for 6 months. When I left in 6 months, we was engaged to be married.
That's all it took was that little furlough.
And while I was here, she loved to dance, and I did too. And I was dancing just about every night we went dancing somewhere.
What kind of dancing?
Any kind. Well, I say most of them just slow dancing and jitterbugging.
Okay, yeah.
Back them days, they jitterbug.
Good.
And she could really dance. I wasn't worth the hoop, but she would.
How funny. So then what happened? You got off your furlough, and what'd you tell them?
Well, when I got off my furlough, they sent me to Miami for bring on. I was there 2 weeks. So come to find out, I was a staff sergeant all the time I was overseas. And I got back, and they looked at, you get an MOS number in the military. And they saw my MOS was for a flight engineer, and that's a tech sergeant rating. And that's when I was a flight engineer.
Right.
And
so they gave you up to rank.
They said, hey, we're going to kick you up. You from right now, you are a tech sergeant.
Well, you earned it for sure.
But anyhow, we left Miami, and there was 25 of us coming back. They asked us where we wanted to go, and told them to go to Ellington Field in Houston. And there was 25 of them. All the rest of them was staff sergeant. I was on the tech sergeant. They put me in charge of all of them. We got on the train, come from Miami going to Houston, to Ellington Field. Well, that train got close to Beaumont. I told them, I said, hey, I'm getting off this train when it gets to Beaumont. And I said, I want every one of y'all, we're going to meet in 3 days at the bus stop in Houston. Okay. Well, we got there, and every one of them was there. So we went out to Ellington Field, got there at the gate, and this guy, sergeant that was overall, we got there and they said, well, I'm going to have to call somebody to come see about y'all getting in here. So a colonel come in there. So
what happened? Y'all weren't supposed to be there?
Well, he said, what are y'all doing here? Everyone else had been prisoner of war.
Right.
And he come up there and he said, what are y'all doing here? I said, I don't know. They just give us orders to come here.
Mm-hmm.
And then he found out we was all pregnant. He said, I'm going to tell you right now, we don't want you. I told him, I said, maybe not, Colonel, but we're here. So he took us, and they didn't have nothing for us to do.
Uh-huh.
So what they told me, another guy I knew there was with us too. He said, I want you to go out there and get in that airplane and taxi it and put it over someplace over here.
Uh-huh.
I said, okay. So me and this poor friend of mine got in there. He looked at me and said, you know how to taxi an airplane? I said, never have, but we're fixing to learn. So I started that thing up and I taxied it, got it there where it's supposed to be. So what we'd done for 2 weeks, we'd go out to this airplane and sleep until noon.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'd get up and hitchhike to Beaumont.
Oh my goodness.
We'd done that for 2 weeks. And then at midnight, we'd catch a bus going back to Houston.
So you just needed to be there for the first part of the day.
That's right. I just had to sleep. We'd go to that airplane to sleep.
Oh my goodness.
We done that for 2 weeks, and finally they told me, said, they want you getting discharged today. They want you at the separation center. I said, okay. So I showed up there, and I got discharged. And it was kind of funny. I kind of thought, this little boy, there's another colonel talking to everybody about joining the reserves.
Mm-hmm.
One guy told that colonel, he said, Colonel, I don't want to be disrespectful, but if I ever get that discharge in my hand, I ain't even going to join the church for you to mobilize it.
How funny. So then after that, it was on to home and...
Yeah. Well, I got out of the military September the 20th.
Okay.
Of 1945, and we got married October the 1st, 10 days later.
You didn't waste no time, huh?
No.
And it was all history from then. How long were you married?
75 years.
Oh my goodness.
It was 75 years last October the 1st.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Clotiaux, do you have any advice for any of these young kids today?
Yes.
What is that?
I got a grandson that graduated from college. From high school. He told his daddy. He said, Daddy, I don't want to go to school no more. I'm tired of studying. And his grandson told his son, he said, all right. He said, I want to go into the Air Force. So he went in the Air Force, stayed in there 4 years, come out. And the Air Force and the government paid for his college for 4 years, paid him a little salary, furnished him an apartment, furnished all of his books and stuff, and he's graduating from college this summer. Mm. And any young boy that don't want to go to college, it'd be a good place for him to go.
Sounds like some great advice to me.
Me too. That's what I was just going to ask you about, if you would share that with us.
Yeah. But the rest is history.
Well, good. I really appreciate you sharing your story with us, and we just are so grateful to have you on, not just on our service, but just for everything that you've done in general. And, you know, I'm a little favoritism towards you because you're just such a sweetie, but we thank you for sharing the video with us and for your service, most of all, and for your great advice for the people coming in the future that they'll take into mind, you know, the opportunities they could have from the military.
Well,
and we have a picture of a newspaper article with him and some things like that y'all see on our Facebook. So thank y'all so much for taking the time to listen.
Thank you, Mr. Clotiaux. We appreciate your service.
Well, thank you.